Hi, let me start with the end in mind. So, when I started working on the human in the loop journey, one of the things I wanted to see is how I can wrap myself in useful generative AI. One of the early things I did was upload a script and say, from this script, can you give me what would be the most resonant YouTube title? And it gave me an answer. And there's a separate video about some of the biases that can be triggered in us by the confident answers of these GPTs. But the answer was wrong, yeah, to put it bluntly. So, this is the part of the script it ended up lasering in on. And it's a very small part of point I was making in that entire video, where I was going through observations across industries of the impact that AI has already had in 2 years. Things like the fact that media outlets are, in fact, suing Google for a loss of traffic because of the AI landing pages and so on. And but it just really lays it in on this point here, where the purpose of this point was to say that most leaders in big industry are wired to just focus on the spreadsheet in a way. And it is no small surprise that all the announcements, and there's still those announcements that are coming through, are with some level of pride, that where CEOs say, oh, AI has helped us. What was a recent one? I think it was like 12,000 roles that have been retired. So I did use the AI title, and it kind of tanked because AI has no context. So let me show you what I'm doing now, which is working a lot better. So now, instead of just putting in the raw transcript, which I've done, and I've used the same video where things went wrong, and I've given it this instruction here, and I'm going to send it off to do the work so that you can see what happens. So first off, it goes out and gets my YouTube intelligence data. Now, I'm just going to explain that is nothing really complicated. It is simply a scraper that runs continuously based on 8 keywords that I think people would be typing in to find my videos. And it does a bunch of analysis behind the scenes. And I've taught it to do this analysis. None of it is very, but I'll just explain. So it's saying, okay, give me the best performing titles that we found, or that the scraper have found, where the search input is these 3, which is the most relevant. And as a result of providing this context, it will do a much better job of giving you a first pass of a title that should resonate with the target audience. And you can see that in these titles, we've got a much more human-centric approach to them. And the option 1 is very, very close to what I ended up using for the video title once I had to correct it. The mini learning here is AI becomes increasingly useful if you can figure out how to give it more insight into what is really happening in the world and how we do that really doesn't have to be complicated. And context doesn't have to be huge. There's a really good Google study that shows that just by paying attention and giving the right context, not infinite context, not all of it, because that again won't work. It needs to be of the right size. So what you can see in here is I've taught it to limit the results to 15. And that gives an optimal amount of context for me to get these much better title suggestions. Now, I then still go and make some small tweaks to it, but it really does solve a very big problem. I apply the same thing to creating the descriptions now going forward, but you can how that'll work. So I'm not going to waste your time running through that. The one thing I will leave you with, if I am intending of creating deeper how-to videos of how I created some of this tooling. So if you'd like to see those or want to see specific versions of those, please drop a note in the comment so that I can aggregate it all up and start planning out how to build the deeper how-tos so that you can mirror some of this. And once again, thank you very much for watching. Thank you if you've chosen to subscribe. And thank you very much if you've chosen to comment, because all of that interaction not only helps me create better content, but it also helps the rather needy YouTube algorithm realize where good content is. Once again, thank you very much for watching.